All right. I'm glad that. Okay, so the meeting of Tuesday, December 6th of the PAC board will be put onto YouTube in a very short period of time, and I thank the recorders of such. Carol Joy is traveling along with John Feld, so she will not be attending tonight's meeting. And I would like to call for the approval of the final agenda.
So
I
moved.
move we approve the agenda. I'll second it if Steve is has made the motion.
Okay. So all in favor of approving the agenda as stands? That's 4-0. Thank you very much. And now is the time of the meeting that public comments are called for. Anyone who has any interest in bringing a subject before the PAC board, please raise your hand or give an indication of your interest. And you're limited to 3 minutes. And thank you very much for that. Ellen Jane, I saw your hand up first.
You're muted.
I want to bring up something about recycling and garbage system, and I'd like it to be agendized maybe for next time to discuss garbage and recycling. Could we do that?
Well, let's hear what you have to say, and we'll certainly consider it.
Well, I got a bunch of educational materials from Marin Sanitary, and Anila was kind enough to put one of them in the Echo, and I asked her not to put my name on it because I think if people see something with my name on it, they might not want to pay attention to it. But there's a bunch, there's a guy, that does educational outreach, and he is willing to come here and talk to people. But again, it's like nobody seems to care about this stuff, environmental stuff. So I would like it to be agendized so we could, there's posters, flyers explaining about, like, they don't want any plastic bags in anywhere except in landfill. And I remember there was an article a while ago, maybe last year, about recycling, and I'm thinking they used like Novato recycling. People don't realize that we're Marin Sanitary, and there was something about putting dog poop in the compost, which is like totally no. But just in general, there's so many plastics that are not recyclable. They belong in the landfill, unfortunately. The only solution is to use less plastic. Don't buy things in plastic. So that's what I just want to bring up, and that people could have a little more input on what they throw where. A lot of people just say, oh, well, they'll take care of it, I don't care. But it's just like, passing it's irresponsible. We could do better with that. People throw outrageous things in the recycle bins. So could we have it, could we agendize it for next time?
Ella Jane, I'm just wondering whether that wouldn't be something for HOL. PAC doesn't really necessarily get involved in that. How do you see PAC being involved in it?
Because you're the bosses.
This is just public.
What, Steve?
This is just public comment. We're not going to engage a discussion.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I'll bring it up at PAC too, I guess.
No, HOL.
HOL. Yeah. The other ones.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the PAC board?
Hi, I raised my hand. Michelle Rodriguez from 9 Fallen Leaf.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi. I sent Jay and Carol a note. I wanted to bring to the PAC board attention that the City of Novato housing element is currently out for review, and comments are due on December 18th. The reason why I bring this to your attention, and please refer me to the proper committee if I need to do that, the new general plan program in there recognizes the need to preserve our Marin Valley Mobile Country Club, to refinance the site to preserve money and fund capital improvements. But it does not, it modified the existing program that recognized our relationship to the city's rental control ordinance and the restriction to the annual rent increases, limiting it to 100% of the CPI. So that is now deleted. There is a new policy in there that generally says for the city that tenant protections exist, but it doesn't, it refers to apartments. And so it doesn't refer to Marin Valley anymore. So I'm bringing that to your attention in case you want to create a subcommittee to discuss it, whether we want to issue a letter, but the deadline is December 18th. Thank you.
Oh, very good information. Thank you, Michelle. We're certainly going to look into that. Any other public comment? John Hanson, are you?
Yeah, Jay, there's one thing I just thought of, and that is that we've in the past occasionally been late with the election issues and the whole agenda and the calendar. So I just want to give a heads up to our standing election committee for PAC that we do have coming up early next year reconsiderations for the elections.
For the PAC board.
For the PAC board, yes.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other public comment?
Ellen Jane has.
Just very briefly, I just want to welcome Terry. It's nice to see you in person, the person doing all this work. So thanks for showing your face, being here.
Okay, again, is there any other public comment? Having none, I'd like to move on to the consent calendar for the approval of the November 1st, 2022 meeting. I presume everyone has read through it, and is there any comments or additions to that?
Jay, the protocol actually first is to entertain a motion to approve the minutes before we get into discussion. Okay. So I move to approve the minutes.
Okay, can I have a second? Steve, second. All in favor?
Discussion at this point?
Yep. Is there any additions or changes to the minutes as proposed?
Good.
Not seeing any. Can I call for the approval? So 4-0. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to reports. Matt Greenberg passed on some comments to me. He won't be able to attend the meeting this evening. He's still working primarily from home. He does, as we all know, come in several times a week, but he's available on email and telephone from home, and he's doing quite a bit of work in that regard. He passed on some notes to me with regard to what has been done in the past month, and starting off with tree service. One large pine tree that was behind Club View has been safely pruned, and now the V-ditch has been completely cleaned now that we're getting some more rain, so that's very helpful. We've had some comments over the month about the problem with people at night getting into their cars in front of the clubhouse, that the concrete blocks in front of all of the parking spaces along there are often difficult to see. So he stepped up, and he is, or the park is looking at doubling the amount of light that's available for that area. And we have had Mark install reflective tapes on all of those bumpers, so to speak. So there's a better chance for people walking out into the street to enter their cars, that they'll be able to see these and avoid them. So we're going to see additional lighting, and he's also looking into improving the general lighting throughout the park by putting more LED lights of a intensity that will not provoke people. In other words, there's a lot of people who don't like really bright lights because it affects their ability to see at night. So he's moderating the temperature of the LED so that it's a more yellow light, but will still be effective. The only other thing he had on here is the water usage, and the water usage for October is actually up from the previous year. In October 21, the usage was 33,444 gallons, and this year it was 34,332. So a little bit more than a 1% increase, and I'm not quite sure why the reason for that is. So is there any questions about that? If there are, I'll pass them on to Matt. Yes, Vicki.
I just want to add one more thing. The parking strips, you know, where you bring your car in, they need to be repainted. They're very hard to see.
I get it. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
mention.
that indicate the space that the car is supposed to go into. Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Jane, Ellen Jane.
Oh, yeah. I want to thank Matt or whoever's in charge of that about the lighting of the curbs, because I've been bringing that up for a couple of years. And my response when I, have brought it up was that we can't do anything because it has to be something that the city of Novato approves of. And since they don't mark the bumpers at the Margaret Todd Center for elderly people, they're not going to do it here. So I'm glad somebody changed their mind, because it's such a tripping hazard. And I've had suggested reflective tapes and painting them. So now that's great that they're finally coming around. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Michelle?
Yeah,
Hi, Michelle Rodriguez again. I guess I'm want to caution against or considering kind of light glare. By increasing our light, we're going to be reducing our night sky, which is one of the reasons why we appreciated the community, because of our ability to see. And I mean the darkness, the moon, the sky. And so there's something called a lighting plan that you can ask for that shows lumens per square foot and understand really the intensity at where. And you want your intensity closest to the steps to be high, but as you move away from that, to decrease so that the people in the mobile homes are not affected, and as well as their sleep. Thank you.
no. Thank you, Michelle. I'll bring that up again with him, but he has talked about the need for the street lighting not to be reflected into the homes. So we are working towards that, but I'll mention it to him as well. So seeing no other comment, I will move on to the PAC Treasury Report. Steve Flosher.
Okay, the treasurer's report regarding our petty cash fund. We didn't spend anything in October, so the balance is still $2,453. In the park budget, the PAC annual budget of $4,000 a year. To date, for the last 4 months, we've spent $1,005. So we're a little bit under budget. That's the treasurer's report. Finance Committee report. Once again, the DSCR figure is very low, 1.20, but when we adjust it for the front loading of the bush trimming and tree removal and all the fire remediation done by the pruning and tree removal, that was loaded heavy in the first part of the year. So when we balance that out for the rest of the year, then the DSCR raises up to 2.08, which is still low but acceptable. And that's the end of my report.
So any questions from the board? Any questions from the residents? So seeing none, we'll move on to the 2x2 meeting report, myself and Carol Joy. The only additional item that I'd bring up at this point is that the auxiliary pump for the pump station 1 has been installed and is up and running. So therefore, any problems with pumping the sewage up the hill and then gravity fed back down to pump station 2, which has been replaced, is now safely going to be administered. So we're waiting for a start date, and probably with the rains, obviously that's not going to happen until after the winter. So at least we'll be safe until that point. So that's all I have for that. And project planning for John Hanson and myself. I don't have anything, John. Do you have any?
I have a question for part 2.
Okay, there's a question from Peggy Hill. Go ahead, Peggy. I'm sorry.
A
Peggy?
question for the 2x2 meeting.
Yes.
You're discussing the 2x2 meeting where rules and regulations brought up and what's going on with the rules and regulations.
I agree.
Matt, I was talking to Matt today about it, and Matt is in conversations with Chris about dealing with the legal issues. And again, there's been no update or revision, but Matt is attempting to get more input into the administration of the rules and regs. And I don't have any further update other than that, but it is in the hands of Chris Blanc, and the idea of him referring it to City Council to see if there's any problems with the rules and regs that you have proposed with the committee. We're waiting on that as well. And the administration, we're waiting on that as well. And so that's right now in the hands of Matt and Chris Blanc.
It's too many years for this to go on. And don't blame it on Matt. The PAC is an overseer, and you are not overseeing a damn thing. The 2+2 meeting has done nothing.
Thank you for your comment.
Who's speaking? Can you say who that, can you identify yourself?
Yes, I can. It's Connie Marilich.
Thank you, Connie.
Okay, any other comments? Okay,
Joke.
so again, John, you don't have anything for project planning or?
No.
No, okay. So let's move on to MVS and John Hanson.
Okay, well, Invest is, we are moving along, but quite frankly, I don't have anything at this point to report. We'll defer the our reporting on Invest progress to our next meeting in January. I would like to say, though, that with regards to something that we have been addressing for years, really now, is the our COVID situation. Invest has been monitoring that, and I just want to report that the pandemic is not over, and right now, roughly 90% of the deaths resulting from COVID are people that are 65 years old or older. So we're not really out of the woods. And another thing is that there's probably, I don't know really, quite frankly, I don't know who does at this point know exactly how many variants are of COVID, but there are over 300 variants moving around the world in various levels in various places. Some of those are very resistant to the vaccines and to our immune system. So, not really saying that that we're in trouble or anything. It's just that we've done a really good job, I think, in the community here to keep our COVID problem to a minimum. And I just would encourage everybody to continue with that effort.
Michelle, did you want to have a comment? Yeah, I would just also like to add that the COVID cases are actually on the rise in the last weeks, and that we're having a very bad flu season on top of it. So it's probably a little bit of a crossover, because since so many people are self-testing, the symptoms for both COVID and flu are quite similar. So it's really essential for us, especially since our community is 55 and older, to be really diligently careful about catching it, because as we get exposed to it, and if we catch it, it really impacts on our heart, on our lungs, and our kidneys, and the recovery is much more difficult for people our own age. So it's going to unfortunately decrease your health and reduce essentially your lifespan. So I would really request people to pay a lot of attention to avoidance, because there doesn't seem to be a magic bullet to kill it. And it's very similar to the flus that are flowing around. And unfortunately, it may be with us for a long, long, long time. So please be careful. Any other comments from the board or from residents? Seeing none. Is there anyone representing HOL? Okay, so moving on to Marvel. Vicky, do you have
I do. It's such a fun month, December. To start off, we have the ugly sweater contest this coming Friday at Pub. Prizes for the ugliest and the prettiest. So please come on up. And the prizes will be bottles of wine. Spotify has now installed the ballroom, which was a wonderful mood enhancer last week. Thank you, everybody, for that. Then we have the holiday party. It's December 17th. You're asked to get your reservation in as soon as possible. The New Year's Eve party will have Charles Watson as a DJ, and everyone is invited to come to that event. Most especially Marvel would like to express their appreciation to HOL for their wonderful job in decorating the clubhouse for the holiday. Looks wonderful. And that's the report from Carolyn Corey.
Thank you, Vic. Any comments from the board? Any comments from residents? Okay, there is no old business on the agenda. And new business was
Nancy B has her hand up.
Who does?
Nancy.
Nancy B.
Yeah, Nancy.
Yes.
Please.
Okay. I just want to make can you hear me? I'm not.
Yes.
Okay. I got this company that theoretically is going around and checking our energy usage and if we can boost it up for low income and whatever else. My advice would be to anybody, don't let them in your house. I'm now going to be out almost $5,000 because of the new stove. because they called in PG&E and I knew something was wrong with it, that if I could call in something. No, on Wednesday, if I'd have had my usual Thanksgiving, I'd have been, Jay's head would be off. He's the nearest neighbor I can get a hold of. You know, usually I have 8 to 10 people here for Thanksgiving. This year I wasn't up to it. But if I'd have had that and you took my oven away from me on Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock, I'd kill it. I mean, I'd after you with my knife. But anyway, they had guts enough. They don't ask for anything. They took off my beautiful mower and water thing. My shower goes up so a 6-footer can go under it. And it has, you know, the handheld, and it's got a nice, and it's a very energy efficient. And they put in one that was so important to them that when they took it out, they threw it in the trash can. I took it out and I'm going to take it up to the, you know, the in between the HOL.
What is
The
it called?
boutique.
The boutique, right?
A boutique, yes. So if somebody wants it, they don't have to buy one. But anyway, these young men did not know their from a hole in the ground. I would not recommend them. If you do have somebody walk them around, I mean, they've taken out good light bulbs that I've paid over Amazon to go, you know, go on when the electricity is out. They had just enough to take those in and put their LEDs in. Well, they were LEDs, but they were a different kind. And did they ask me? Oh, no. So I'm really upset. It's going to cost me a lot of money. The oven I knew needed repair. And so it's going to have to go. That's all right. But I don't appreciate people just coming in and, you know, turning off this and taking the bulbs I have. You know, there's special light bulbs that you can put in places. So when the electricity goes out, you have light.
Thank you, Nancy. I really
That's my
appreciate not being blown up.
Oh, well, I was going to take care of it, so that's not it.
Vicky,
Nancy, you didn't have an oven and I didn't have a stovetop, so I understand exactly what you're saying. The one thing I don't understand about this whole issue is how did they know how much money we make? Some people in the park have been offered rebates and replacements and other people haven't. So is PG&E reporting that information? I don't know, but it's kind of strange the way the company is handling this matter.
well, Vicky, they visited me, and what they wanted was they asked whether I was on Social Security, and if I wanted to get any benefits from them. They wanted to see my benefit letter.
Okay, they never asked us for anything. And I called their company and asked if they needed any information from me so that we could qualify. And they said they weren't doing any rebates and they weren't replacing anything. So you got different stories from this company, though. I found that very problematic.
Hmm.
I reported that to Matt.
Okay, thank you, Vicky.
Yeah.
Any other, I guess this is public comments, and seeing none, go back to new business where we were discussing the improvements of the lighting in front of the clubhouse. We've gone over that already. So if there's any additional comments or questions about that, now would be the time. So actually, although it's on the agenda, we haven't really formally brought it forward. Do you want to bring it forward, John Hanson? Make an agenda that we discuss the possible improvements in lighting in front of the clubhouse and parking spaces?
Well, yeah, well, it's already on the agenda. We did discuss it, not particularly at item F, but next month it will be on item E as whole business. Hopefully Matt will have a little more input at that point so we can carry it forward.
Okay, good enough. All right. So I'd like to determined that the next board meeting will be on January the 3rd, 2023. I hope everyone will be able to attend that. Is there any problems with that? Seeing none, let's call it to be January the 3rd at 6 p.m. And with that, I'd like to terminate the meeting.
Oh, I forgot one thing.
Sure, go ahead, Vic.
What about the, can we talk about the bonfire at the end of sunrise?
Sure.
So I understand why the dancers want to stay warm. I'm wondering if we could pursue something that they could use to stay warm as opposed to an open pit. Anybody have any ideas about doing that?
Vicky, it wasn't an open pit. It was a fire on a I don't know what you'd call it. It's like a barbecue pit that is raised.
It was quite large.
And it has a screen over it.
The what?
It
It
has
has a screen over it.
Yeah, but not when I saw it.
Well,
That's a, so when I was backing the car out to go to pub, the flames were going up. And they put a grate on it, I guess, as I was proceeding up the street. And that's good, but still, I don't know, I'm uncomfortable with it.
Well, the fire department came.
Hmm?
The fire
Yes, I know the
department
fire
visited.
department came and they declared it safe and what have
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
But, you know, we have the rains now, so I'm not so worried, but we didn't have the rains so much then. And just a minor spark can cause a problem. And I'm just wondering, could they relocate for those days when it's really, really cold? Or, I mean, we do have rooms at the clubhouse, you know, and we do have areas where they can dance outside of the clubhouse. You know, it's just, I think it's worrisome to
The
some
fire
of our
department
neighbors.
said it was okay.
Pardon me?
The fire department was approving of it. We had a hose and a fire extinguisher in addition to the grate over the fire. And the ground is
Okay.
all wet. We'll never do that in the spring, summer, or fall.
Okay, well, we disagreed, so we'll agree to disagree, but I know there are some neighbors that were alarmed by it. It was sudden, and we do have rules and regs in other areas of the park, like in the pool, but we don't have any rules and regs associated with bonfires. Okay. So it was just shocking to see it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I understand that. And I don't know, from my perspective, it's, you know, it's very helpful and very useful for people to understand what, you know, what causes a fire. But it's also, I think, is perhaps as useful, perhaps in that situation would have been to know what would not cause a fire or an escape. Or, I mean, you know, there's three things that are required for a fire. It's called a fire triangle. There's heat, there's oxygen, and there's fuel. And there's a number of things that influence those things. And since it was, you know, it was chilly and moist, because maybe it wasn't raining right then, but it had been, you know, earlier. So the ground was moist, the fuel was moist, and the humidity was up. That essentially effectively removes fuel from that equation for fire. So it sounds very analytical, but you know, if you understand, if you really learn and understand what causes a fire and see that those, you know, if those are present or not, when there is something like that, I think that maybe cooler minds would have prevailed.
Who oversees this event? And I think it was Ed Collins was overseeing it this time. He lives right there, but who could we count on to oversee whether it's appropriate on a given night to have that function?
That would be, I think that would be HOL. I don't know. Like you said, you know, it's not in the R&Rs, so it's hasn't really come up.
Okay.
We've been very deficient on bonfires.
And
Okay.
three firemen came and said it was fine.
Yeah.
Vicky, the other thing is that Matt has been working with HOL and with the people who are operating those stances and has offered the use of the clubhouse for those events if there's no one else using them. The blanket use of the clubhouse by the HOL removes the need for the individuals to actually have insurance to be able to put on an event like that. So HOL, I understand, is in the process of updating their request to use the ballroom on those nights when no one else is using them, or when people want to use them for dancing. And therefore, people on those cold evenings can go up into the clubhouse and use that same sound system.
Good, that'd be great.
Jay, Peggy Hill has a comment.
Just a reminder, who again owns that property or is in charge of that property, the open space?
Accordingly, as far as we and the city of Novato paid for the purchase of that land from TPL, the Trust for Public Land. It is currently deeded solely to the city of Novato, and the use of it is park and recreation by the federal government. So the federal government oversees what activities and use can be made of that area.
And has the government then been involved in the use? And have you checked in with the government to make sure it's legal use of the property of that area?
I haven't.
Because usually there are rules and regulations about that type of thing.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be very similar to what was being enforced by the fire department. In other words, park and recreation like Samuel Taylor Redwood, you can have a fire similar to what was going on in that area of Marin Valley Mobile Country Club. You can have
What about leaving all that old furniture all over the place? It doesn't always look that great. And it's open space. I personally would just love it to be quiet, open space where you can walk, but I know other people don't agree with me with that, but.
Well, I mean, the area that is being utilized is part of park and recreation. In other words, you can go out there and walk, and probably you can go out and have a picnic, and probably you can have a controlled fire as long as it meets the general specifications of park and recreation for a federally controlled area. Is there a game warden? Is there a park supervisor? I don't know of anyone doing that.
Thank you.
Ellen Jane.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry, yeah, to the point of being offered the ballroom, we like it outside because there's COVID and it's kind of healthy to be dancing outside in the fresh air. And yeah, and it's only 3 hours a week to have some fun. So
Yeah, and again, I don't see that as an issue because the ballroom is being offered on those occasions when you can't have it outside. In other words, if it's pouring rain or snowing or whatever, then you could, retire to the ballroom. Anyway, I think we're all good. So I'd like to adjourn the meeting unless we have something urgent that we want to bring up.
I think that covers it. We don't have anything else on the agenda. We shouldn't be dealing with things that aren't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay,
Only
thank you
because
all.
Carol Guy's not here. He wouldn't allow this.
Never. Okay, thank you and good evening.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
And Terry, thank you very much for joining us this evening. And I will be sending you a copy of this very soon.
Thank you very much. And I just wanted to let you know, I've adjusted my other work schedule, so I should be able to be attending this week on a monthly basis.
Oh, excellent. Thank
Near
you.
future.
Excellent.
Foreseeable
you.
future. Thank you all.